if 4 times 5 is equals to 24, and 5 times 6 is equals to 35, 6 times 7 is equals to 48, 7 times 8 is equals to 63, then 8 times 9 is equals to what? Sige daw. Who will be the first to get this? Okay, go. Reus.
80, ma'am.
Mm. Any other answer? Any other answer? Is it really 80? Correct. Okay. Why is it 80? Reus, go. Explain. What's the trick here?
So, ano, ma'am, yung 24 minus 35 minus 24 is 11. Tapos, yung 48 minus 35 is 13. Bale, by 2 lang siya pattern.
So that's one way of doing it. Okay. Is
Yes,
there
ma'am.
another way of doing it? Kasi there are different. Okay, Lamia, how do you think the correct answer? What made you say that you agree that 80 is the correct answer? How did you do it? Mm. That's also how I did it. So, iba. So, did you get it? So, this one is easier pa. Madali lang. 4 times 5 is 20 plus 4, 24. 4 times 6 is 30 plus 5, 35. And so on and so forth. So, 8 times 9 is equals to 72 plus 8 equals to 80. Check. Did you get that? The others. Are you with us? Yeah?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, now what about this? Lahat ito mga math problems. All right, so who will be the first to figure this out siguro? If you had one red heart times a blue heart, that's equals to 72. A blue heart times a green heart gives you 36. Red times green is equals to 32. And so therefore, what is the value of the green heart? Anyone? Okay, Reyes again. Go.
Is it 4, ma'am?
Are you sure or not?
Yes, ma'am. Sure, ma'am. Sure, yes.
Okay. Sure na sure. O, si Jerbilyn also 4 daw. Oh, so Jerbilyn, ikaw na. What made you say that the correct answer is 4? Go, explain.
Sorry, ma'am. Medyo maingay po sa place. So, yung red heart, ma'am, I initially thought that it's 9 times 8. Since 9 times 8 will give us 72. And
Mm,
then, the blue heart would be 8. So, to get 36, so we have to um, assume na the green heart is 4. So, 8 times
mm,
4 is 32. I mean, so, ang baliktad. Tama ba?
mm.
Wait lang po, ma'am. Again. Hila
Okay,
po.
take 2. Go.
Take two,
You're
take
on
two.
the right track.
So, the red heart, I gave it 8 pala. Tapos yung blue is 9. And then yung, so since blue is 9, 9 times, I assumed that green is 4. So, 9 times 4 is 36. So,
Mm-hmm.
and then balik ako sa red, which is I gave 8 kanina. And then
Mm.
I thought na yung green is 4. So, I multiplied it and then I have 32. So, therefore, I come up with the idea yung green is 4 yung value niya po.
Correct. You're right. Okay, so nakuha nyo? So by deduction lang, ano? Correct. The correct answer is 4. There you go. So 9 times 8, 72. 9 times 4, 36. And so therefore, 9 times 4 is equals to 32. So, correct ang answer. O ito na. Paano to? If 8 is equals to 56 and 7 is equals to 42, 6 is equals to 20, 5 is equals 30, 5 is equals to 20, then 3 is equals to what? Hmm, sino yan? Si Paul says 12. Okay, sige. Reyus, are you raising your hand?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah?
12 din po.
Ha?
12 din, ma'am.
12 din. Any other answer? Any other answer there?
Is it
Okay.
9, ma'am?
9. Okay, sige. Sino yan sabi ng 9? I didn't catch. Paul, is that you? O, di sige. Sige daw, tingnan
Yes.
natin. How did you end up the 3 equals to 9? Tama ba?
Yes, ma'am.
Sige, explain. Ay,
Ah,
the answer is
ay
6,
6 pala.
hindi 9. How did that happen? Sige. So, how do you get 56? Go. Sino yan?
8 times 7 po, ma'am.
Oh, 8 times 7 is 56. 6 times 7 is 42. 5 times 6 is 30. So how do you end up with 20 here? So meaning 4, the next is 4. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. 4 is missing. So 4 times 5 is 20. So 4 na. So 3 times 4 is equals to 12. Okay? So 4 and then 3 times 2, 2 na, no? 3 times 2 is equals to 6 kasi missing yung 4. So 4 is equals to 12 while 3 is equals to 6. Did you get that?
Yes,
Claro?
ma'am.
Yes,
Yes,
Last na,
ma'am.
last na. Okay. Oh, ito. What is this now? So, can you solve these logic problems, puzzles in 20 seconds each? So, if 11 plus 11 is equals to 4, 12 plus 12 is equals to 6, 13 and 13 is equals to 8, then 14 plus 14 is equals to what? Madali lang to. Okay, so Reyes again and then Paul. Manangkil. Go. What do you think is the correct answer? Hmm. Answer
10,
ninyo.
10 po, ma'am.
10 po,
10.
ma'am.
10. 10. Okay, so the correct answer is indeed 10. So what happened here? Okay, so you just add 11 plus 11, that's 2 plus 2 is equals to 4. This is 3 plus 3 is equals to 6. This is 4 plus 4 is equals to 8. And so therefore, 5 plus 5 is equals to 10. Would you like one more? One more pa? O, di sige, one more. Ito. O, sige. Abstract reasoning. This is uh, there are two psychological tests that are purely figural problems, something like this. So which do you think is the correct answer here? Is it A, B, C, or D? Anyone? Okay, Manangkil? Mm-hmm. Any other answer? Any other answer? Correct. The correct answer is letter D. Okay, so enough of this. Let us have a different set of brain teasers next time. But for now, I will stop sharing, and I am now going to share with you another slide. This time, very briefly, I would like to what's this? I would like to oh, wait ha, sandali. the ano is not, oh yeah, okay, yeah. Wait lang, for a while. Okay, is it there? Alright. Oh, bakit hindi siya, ano, how come hindi siya nasa PowerPoint? Wait lang ha, something went wrong. Can you see it? I will have to, I will have to stop sharing muna. Sandali. I'll try to make it bigger. Kasi if you do it this way, hindi siya ayaw. Start, stop presenting. Ay, ano ba to? Sorry guys. Parang hindi ko naman alam how to do things. Okay, so this should be like this. Ay, nako. Sorry. Okay, finally. There you go. All right, so very quickly lang, although more or less I shared with you exactly what you are up to, what we are going to be focusing on the entire semester. I would like to do it formally. Let's have an orientation on psychological assessment, and I would like to begin with the course description. Okay, exactly. What is the coverage? What is it that we are what is it that we would like to discuss not throughout the semester with regards to the subject matter. So based on CMO 34 series of 2017, the course offers an orientation of the rudiments of psychological testing. The principles, methods, and uses of psychological testing are tackled. Emphasis is placed on issues of item analysis, reliability, and validity in test construction. The administration, scoring, and interpretation of objective, cognitive, and affective tests used in various applied fields of psychology, particularly the educational, industrial, clinical, and government settings are covered. Ethical considerations as well as current trends and issues in psychological testing in the Philippine setting are also discussed. Okay, so it's really about uh, the use of psychological tests. Okay, and so that's why I said last time we are going to uh, we have part one of the training focus on the theoretical aspect, while the other half is focused on application. Okay, so exactly what is it that we are trying to achieve at the end of the semester? Okay, the course outlines are the following. At the end of the semester, the students will be able to discuss the principles, methods, and uses of psychological tests, be able to apply and demonstrate the psychometric properties of test development, identify or differentiate the different psychological tests used in various applied fields of psychology based on their psychometric properties, administer, score, and interpret psychological tests, and apply appropriate ethical principles and standards in the use of psychological tests. Okay? And so if that those are the outcomes that we would like to get no at the end, uh, we will be able to achieve that. We'll be able to get all these outcomes if we follow the following outline. So our discussion will begin with the introduction to psychological testing and assessment, and then from there we move on to the major processes in psychological assessment, then keep our focus on on psychological measurement, then talk at length talaga, reliability and validity. Take a look at how we construct tests and then do test interpretation and coming up with a psychological report, and also end our discussion by taking a look at some of the most important ethical considerations in psychological testing and assessment. Okay. Now, this is something that you are familiar with. This one doesn't change. Kahit saan pa, whatever course you are enrolled in, whatever subject you are taking up during the semester, you will be given two written major exams, your midterm and your final examination, plus a course output or project. In this case, for psychological assessment, you have already been informed, uh, uh, yeah, informed, or you were already made aware that a major course requirement for you is to come up with your personal case study to be submitted on the day, or yeah, for now, on the day that you're going to take your final exam. 'Di ba? That personal case study can only be written if you have taken a number of psychological tests, scored these tests, and then also come up with your interpretation. Without the test, without scoring, without your interpretation, you will not be able to come up with your personal case study. Again, let me remind you, we call it as a personal case study because you are working on test results of tests that you have taken. These are not test results of anyone else. It's your test results, and you're conducting, you're trying to make sense, explain, no, the test results. So another aim here, another objective why you have to come up with your personal case studies to hopefully it will also help you get to know yourself better, increase your self awareness and self understanding. Maybe there are things that you still do not know about yourself, but which came out, no, in the psychological test that were given to you. All right. So conditions for performance evaluation, your active participation is noted in all class activities, and at least for you to be able to pass the course, you have to be 60% passing in all exams and other graded requirements. So your final rating is composed of 40% of your midterm grade and 60% of your final term grade. So to compute for your midterm grade, that's your midterm exam is good for 40%. Any written output, quizzes, essays, that's 30%. The course output, that's good for 20%. Participation, including attendance, is only good for 10%, making it a total of 100%. And the same computation, the same criteria is followed now in determining your final term grade. Pareho pa rin yan. But again, in the end, you take a look at this. Your final grade is, your final rating, no, is based on 60% of your final grade, and your midterm grade only is good for 40%. These are the references that we are using for for our discussion, no, on the subject matter. Please take a look at them. Okay, you can also make use of these same references for your review classes when you are preparing, no, when you are undergoing, whether it's going to be review classes with others or you're going to undertake self-review lang. These are very useful references that can help you, no, uh, get prepared for the board exam. Okay, that's no longer applicable. Ito na, as always, this is the messenger, the group chat that we have remains our main hub for connecting with one another. This is where announcements, updates, assignments, projects, readings, or any queries any concerns that you'd like to bring up. Okay, that's where we can post it there, and then again, uh, in case you need to get in touch with me personally, that's my number, and this is my email address, clarissa.miranda@wimsu.edu.ph. Yun. Now, I already mentioned this to you, but sige, let me just say it one more time. Regular attendance. Look, no, even if we say this at the end, I did not put so much. What's this? There are many of you dapat lang exceeded the number of absences, pero sige, never mind. Pero ngayon, kay face-to-face na tayo, then I'm really going to observe this without any without bringing any consideration. So regular attendance to our face-to-face classes is a must. A maximum of 7, strictly, no? I'm going to strictly observe this. 7 absences throughout the semester is allowed. Once exceeded, the student is automatically dropped from the roll. And I would also like to emphasize that it is important that you come and attend your classes on time as well. Quizzes are either announced or announced. Cheating is totally unacceptable, and appropriate sanctions will be meted out in accordance with the university code. So today, if we are going to base on my last remark, closing remark that I made with the group last Monday, I am supposed to give you a check-up quiz. Check no check, 'di ba? Are you ready for the check-up quiz? Silence. Silence means no. So, sige. Quiet man kayo. Uy, are you there? Hindi. Kasi not sure po. Never mind. Because I did not have time last night to go and encode my checkup quiz sa online, no? So next meeting na lang, but it will now be a longer because I wanted to get to you face to face talaga. So do you have any questions? No quiz, no check-up quiz for today. So okay na, you can rest easy. Any questions so far? Okay lang? Are you good?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so then I'm going to stop presenting, and I am now going to uh, what's this? I am now going to present our slide. We are now going to continue on with our discussion that we started the last time. Okay, and we started our discussion with what a psychological test is, right? Ito. Is it clear na? Let me check. Okay. So we said, no, let me just do this, Anay. It is very, very clear. I hope it's clear for you that if we are going to define what a psychological test is, then we would say that uh, it is an objective measure of a sample of behavior, and also that it is a standardized measure of a sample of behavior. So whenever we make use of a test, which we may refer to otherwise as a tool, as an instrument, as a set of procedure, as a device. You can call it any way you want. Basta it is something that we use. It is something that we give to someone. No, it's a tool, an instrument, and a device for the main purpose of measuring something in the individual, measuring something, assessing something in the individual. Okay? So, to measure is to assess, to measure is also to evaluate. Pareho lang yan sila. So, the main reason, the main purpose of using a psychological test or any test for that matter is to measure something in the individual. Yun lang. But when it comes to psychological test, which is very much different from the midterm exam and the final exam or the admission test that you took, the CET, normally we don't classify them, no, the midterm and the final exam, we don't really classify them as psychological tests, but you will see later on that they do the experts no included them, pero ordinarily the layman midterm exam lang yan, quizzes lang yan. We don't call them really a psychological test, but they are still tools. They still are regarded as tools, devices, uh, instruments, a set of procedure, a process, whatever. Okay? So what did we say? What makes a psychological test objective? Anyone? What did we say last time? Why do we say that a psychological test is objective? What's the main reason here? What is our definition of objective? Yes, Muhammad, go.
It is objective po because it is unbiased, it is fair, and it is impartial po, ma'am.
Okay, and it becomes correct. That's what we said last time. An objective test is unbiased, it is impartial, and it is fair. We say so because of, go Brian.
We say objective because there is a predetermined way of checking it, meaning
Correct.
there is a way on answering the test, or there is already a scoring key that is
Mm.
prepared before the test is being published.
All right. So we say with confidence that a psychological test is unbiased, that it is fair, that it is impartial because uh, there is a scoring key available for use when there is a scoring key available to check the test. So there's no way that you can decide on the spot what the correct answer is. It is already determined in advance. As mentioned by Paul, prior to giving the test, the test constructor, the one who came up with the instrument, with the device, with this tool, the person already has decided that the only answer for number one is not A, no, is not A, not B, but C. There's only one and only one correct answer for every item in the test. No way can it change. There is no way anybody will be allowed to make changes. And so that if anyone, no, if there will be 50 different people checking the same paper, for as long as you follow the scoring key or the answer key, you will end up with the same answer. So if out of the 50, 48 got the same answer, and two scorers, no, ended up with a different score, what is your conclusion, guys? I repeat, let us say you got 50 people, 50 scorers, individuals to score one test paper using one scoring key. And of the 50, 48 have the same answer, have the same score, except for two. So ano nangyari? What is now your conclusion here? How do you explain? How come 48 got the same answers, the same raw score, while 2 did not? Anong problema? Guys, Lamia, interpret the test differently? Mm-hmm. Is it interpret? They made a mistake in scoring. Yan lang. Kasi we expect that for as long as there is a scoring key to follow, if you follow it correctly, if you do it, if you check the paper correctly, accurately, following the scoring key provided, you should get the same score. But if you ended up with a different score, most likely the error is not with the scoring key. The error is not with the test, but the error is with the one checking. So baka na yan libat, 'di ba? They miss they mark an item incorrectly when it's wrong when it is supposed to be correct. So nakamali, human error 'yan. 'Di ba? We see that happening. A teacher when after giving a quiz to the class and she settles down to check the paper and then she gives back the paper, one, two, or three inevitably will come and say, "Ma'am, mali yung score ko. When I compared my test paper with my classmate, ang number one, correct siya, A. Ang answer ko for number one is also A, but you mark it wrong. So dapat correct yan. So that's how you will know. So that makes it very objective. You will immediately know if a mistake was committed in the process of scoring the test. And that's one thing that we are very careful about because we do not want people to come up and say, I don't believe in the test results because ano yan, nakakaduda yung results because I don't know how you go about checking it. That is the same complaint that you make, students make, 'di ba? Ewan ko, what is the correct answer? So the teacher should be able to come up with the scoring key. O ito, number one, letter A, number two, letter B. O dapat these are the only answers that you will mark correct. Any other answer is considered wrong. So that is what we are aiming for. We cannot afford to allow, especially those who are those who are uninitiated, who have very little background on the use of psychological tests, to come up and say the test results are highly questionable. The test results are not accurate. The test results are not dependable. We don't want people coming up with those kind of statements. We would like to ensure that no matter who's going to make use of the test, no matter who's going to score the test, the results obtained will be results that are accurate. The raw scores are scores that are based on a scoring key that was prepared well in advance. That everyone using the test are not allowed to come up with their own answers, but they are only given the scoring key, which they will have to follow strictly when scoring the test. And if we do that, then that makes the test very, very objective. Clear? Yeah,
Yes, ma'am.
klaro yagat kel, no? All right. Now, so we say standardized because anyone like a review lang ito. We say it is standardized because again, Paul.
You said standardized because uh, have a process, or it must be a process, or there must be a process. So to be able to come up I to be able to have a process, there must be a description about the personality, and test is used to and it is this test will use to be able to find out a specific description of a person, of their personality, personality or abilities or interests.
Okay. Sige. So, when we say standardized, then that means, as what Paul is saying, there is a process involved here. Okay, and that process is a very long process, and it begins normally with the conduct of item analysis. Okay, and then followed by reliability studies, and then ending up with validity studies. So we are now trying to we are setting up an instrument, a tool, or a device that is standardized in the sense that there is a way of doing things. No matter what group you are dealing with, no matter who's going to be the examiner, no matter what time of the day it will be, there is a standard to follow. Standard in administering the test. There is a set of procedures to follow when scoring the test. There are steps to follow or to adhere to when making your interpretations. So when we say that standard, that implies uniformity of procedures. That means that there are rules, do's and don'ts, rules and regulations that every examiner, test examiner, will have to follow strictly or closely. So how do you administer a psychological test? Okay? So depende yan. You just don't administer it any way you want to. There are certain guidelines to follow. There are rules to follow. There are certain reminders that you will have to consider at all times, every time you make use of the test. Okay, so the standardization process would refer in general a uniformity of procedures. You do the same thing over and over again, and that is something that is very very important if you want. No, you have already taken up experimental psychology, right? And you performed some experiments, correct? Did you? Did you? If
No.
when you conduct an experiment, you would only like to you would like to make sure that your study, or even when you are doing now your research work, that your study, now whatever is the problem, whatever the problem is, there are only two variables that are coming in to play. And the first variable is the independent variable, and the second is your dependent variable. In what way does the independent variable affect the dependent variable? Any other variables that are out there will have to be controlled, because if they are not controlled, they can significantly affect the results of the study. So in the same way dito, if you are not going to follow no, the set of procedures um, um, uh, developed or constructed or put together by the test constructor, you are allowed to just do it any way you want to. There is no control over how things are said, how what the steps involved, blah blah blah. Then you cannot be confident about the objectivity of the test. Hindi pwede. That's why you have to follow strictly the steps uh, identified by the test constructor in how to administer, in how to score the test, and in how to interpret the test. Now, this need to keep things constant, to be consistent in the way you use the instrument, in the way you use your importante yan if we are going to come up with accurate results. So, if I am going to explain further, no, tingnan nyo, this need, this emphasis on following a set of uniform procedure is not only very important in the field of testing, but this is also equally important, no, in other fields. Let's just go look at the medical field. 'Di ba, when you do tests in the laboratory or when you make use of this, you would like to, here is a patient who wants to uh, have the CT scan. The one who is trained to use the machine and take pictures of the brain, no, using the CT scan will have to be trained, and there are steps to follow. There are things that you have to do before the actual taking of the picture. There are things that you have to do while taking the picture, and there are things that you will have to do after taking the picture, and you cannot deviate from this. You cannot get away from it and just do whatever you want to do. Kung if you don't, if you deviate, you don't follow what you're supposed to do, then the test results will be highly questionable. Can you see how important standardization is? It is not just in psychological testing that we're concerned about consistency of keeping things consistent throughout. Not just in experimental psychology, not just in testing, not just in not just in the medical field, not just in the industry or in the company when you are producing, no, when you are in producing products like that. There are steps to follow, and you have to do it every time, all the time. Hindi pwede na, oh, si Maria lang ang gagawin nito, ikaw wag na. Ay, hindi pwede. That you will not end up with the result that you are aiming for. And we do not want anybody to point a finger at individuals like us who are using psychological tests to say, hey, kayo, lasang kayo. There is no, iba-iba yung mga ano ninyo. Last time when I took the test, this was done to me. Now that I'm taking it again, a different procedure is being followed. Ano ba ang totoo? Which one is the correct procedure? Okay? So if you're following different procedures every time you use the same test over and over again, nasaan ang consistency nyo? How do we know whether the results are good or bad? How do we know whether the results are accurate and correct? Whether the results are dependable. So we have to ensure that before we make use of the test will have to go through the standardization process. And standardizing the test takes a long while, especially depending on the number of items that you want to have in your test. If you are a test developer, if you are a test constructor, you will have to decide how many items will I have in this mental ability test that I'm working on. And then you go and say, oh, I'm aiming for 150 items. Now imagine 150 items. So in standardizing a test, it will take you like more than 5 years to do all the studies that you have to do before you are ready to introduce and market your instrument, your test to the world. So it's not easy to develop a psychological test, and because it takes a long time, toxic siya, takes a long time to standardize it and to do all the other things, no, the 100 things that you still have to do after doing item analysis, validity and reliability studies. It takes you, if you know, parang not just it's even, you can even, it can even take you 10 long years to come up with one psychological test. And so we are very, very particular about ensuring that the tests at all times, especially when it is being used, are kept secure. We would like to ensure the security of the test to maintain its usefulness as well as its meaningfulness. So, for me, like I said last time, this definition of Anne Anastasi and Urbina is the definition of psychological test that I prefer. Okay? So, first and foremost, what is a psychological test? A psychological test is an objective and a standardized measure of a sample of behavior. Okay. And so you can look there naman, nandito na yan, presented this to you last time. Another way of putting it is this. A psychological test is an individual instrument where the focus is evaluation. Very simple, but it's still the same. Uh, this time now, when that this definition does not specify exactly what kind of instrument is this, except that uh, it is an individual tool. It is an individual test. So, meaning to say, this is a tool, a device, an instrument that you give one on one. Correct din. And then, what is the main purpose of this? Just like in the definition of and Anastasi, the focus is on measuring, evaluating, assessing, but it stops there. It does not say specifically what the test is going to measure. So medyo bitin siya. 'Di ba? So it is an instrument where the focus is evaluation, period. Okay. Now, but if we go on and look at the definition made by Kaplan and Sakuzo in 2001, then a psychological test, this time now, is described in a different way. It is now a device. It is now a technique. And the purpose of using this device or technique is to measure something. Okay, and when measurement here is further explained with the statement that goes this way: quantify behavior. It is a device that is used to quantify behavior, or if it is not to quantify, this is a device that is used to help in the understanding and prediction of behavior. Okay? Pero, again, if you take a look at Kaplan's definition, you're talking only of one kind of behavior. Hindi siya behaviors. Okay? So it does not go in conflict, no? It supports the definition made by Anne Anastasi that when we do measure something in the individual using this tool or instrument device or this technique, we are simply using it to focus on one behavior, one at a time, to understand this behavior or even to predict behavior. Claro? Are you okay with this? Yeah? Questions?
No,
Questions?
none so far, ma'am.
None. All right. Then moving on. Sige. Now, here is another definition. No, there are different ways of defining what a psychological test is. So let's take a look at how Nitko in 1983 defined it. So this time now, according to him, this is a systematic procedure. Yun. So, a psychological test is a systematic procedure used for observing and describing one or more characteristics of a person with the aid or help of either a numerical scale or a systematic system. Okay? So this procedure used may be numerical, may be making use of a numerical scale or a systematic system for the main purpose of observing or describing one or more characteristics in an individual. So more differently said, but the idea is still the same. We are focused on looking at a sample of behavior by using a procedure which may involve a numerical scale or some kind of a system. Okay? Now, another definition is made by CFAST. Now, this is, according to this definition, a psychological test is a device or procedure designed to measure psychological variable which differs in terms of content, format, administration on procedures, scoring and interpretation procedures, and technical quality. So, meaning to say, a psychological test is again an instrument, it is again a tool, it is a set of procedure, it is a measuring device uh, that is used to look into psychological variables. Okay? So each test, which each psychological test that measure a psychological variable in the individual or a sample of behavior, the same pa rin yan, psychological variable, characteristics, or ano pa ba yung sabi? A sample of behavior or to quantify a behavior, pareho pa rin yan. But every test that you come up, no, that you develop will not be the same. The tests that are this set of procedure that is used to measure something in the individual necessarily will be different from one another in terms of content, in terms of the format used, in terms of the procedures used in administering the test, in terms of the steps to take when scoring the test, and most importantly, uh, the steps or the sequences, no, that you have to go through when making your interpretation. So each test is a unique test. It is a special test meant to look into a sample of behavior in an individual. So it's still about measuring something. It's still about determining the amount of this particular uh, characteristic in the individual. It's about determining how much ability, this kind of ability, the individual possesses. Okay? Ayan. Now, for Murphy and David Schofer, in 1998, okay, uh, they defined it in this way. A psychological test is an instrument with three defining characteristics. One, it is a psychological it is a psychological test that is measuring a sample of behavior. A psychological test is a sample of behavior. Second, the sample is obtained under standardization conditions. It's not different from the definition of an anastasis. And thirdly, there are established rules for scoring or for obtaining quantitative information from the behavior sample. So, pareho pa rin, di ba? But set differently. So, kaya I always go back to the definition It is an objective and a standardized measure of a sample of behavior. Okay, that's from uh, David Schofer and Murphy. Okay, so Cronbach has this to say what a psychological test is. And according to Cronbach, okay, it is a systematic procedure for comparing two or more people. What made him say that? Number one, okay, this procedure that is used to compare two or more people uh, uh, is this will involve behavior sample of some kind. So you have to decide what is it that you would like. What is the basis for comparison? Are you comparing people according to the leadership qualities? Are you going to compare them along along? Are you going to compare them based on their social skills? Are you going to compare them on their ability to tolerate stress? Or are you going to compare them in accordance to their intelligence, in accordance to the aptitude that they have in the field of music, in the field of arts, in the field of dance? You have to be very clear about that. Okay, so you are now talking of tests that will involve behavior sample of some kind, only one. And then number two, the behavioral samples must be collected in some systematic way. So how do you go about collecting the data? How do you go about collecting these samples that you would like to use in making your comparison? Okay? And so, how systematic way, when you make use of psychological tests, then first you give the test. After giving the test, you score the test. And after scoring the test, you interpret the test. So these are the three main activities that you have to do every time you make use of a test. And at the end of, after you have done all of this, you now have your data. You now have your results. Okay? And number three, the purpose of tests is to compare behaviors of two or more people or to compare the performance of the same person at different points in time.